Yes, hi. So we are going to start the regional literature. How do we get the regional literature information? Those are poems, stories, and dramas. Also help to reconstruct the life and times of that specific age. Jayadeva's Gita Govinda, Chand Bardai's Prithvi Raj Raso, and the works of Kannad poets Pampa and Basavanna are some of the gems of this period. This period saw a profusion of literature in regional languages such as Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, Odia, Assamese, and Maithili, which we will read about in the later chapters. So you know about Maithili. Maithili is from your state, guys. It's one of the sweetest language, Maithili of India. It is very sweet in hearing, in speaking, and it is very famous language of India, Maithili language and paintings. So it's all from Bihar. So you should be proud of it. Other languages which came up was Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, Odia, Assamese, okay, as well. And the Gita Govinda book came up. From there we get Chand Bardai's Prithvi Raj Raso about Prithvi Raj Chauhan. Again, Chauhans, the Rajputs, and the works of Kannada poets Pampa and Basavanna. They were the gems, they were the best who gave information about this. So these are the literature, the regional literature from each state. We got to know about the culture and history of our country. How did we get information from the religious literature? During this period, Bhakti and Sufi movements became popular. The Bhakti and Sufi saints wrote a lot of poetry which reflects the times they lived in. Even the Ramayana and the Mahabharata were translated into regional languages during this period. So we get all the information from the Bhakti and Sufi saints, and the most important information we get is from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So Ramayana is going on TV, please watch it, get to know more information and see, compare yourself now and compare those people then. That will be a very good example for you to understand. You will be watching on TV, you will be seeing how they used to eat, and you will see yourself eating pasta here, or you are eating something, or chicken or fish or whatever you are eating. So what they ate, what you eat, what they wore, what you are wearing. So it will be a good help and example for you. Now we'll come to calligraphy. Now what is calligraphy? Writing, simply writing on manuscripts. How were manuscripts written before, do you know? It was written on pillars, tombs, paper. There was no paper, there were bark of trees, palm leaves, mud plates, mud tablets, stones, inscriptions on stones. Okay, so this is how that was done. So many of the handwritten manuscripts in the medieval period were stylishly written and beautifully decorated. This kind of decorative writing is called calligraphy, which we called cursive writing. But cursive writing only we write, we don't have any design. We have a design in writing, but we don't have more decorations next to it. So this calligraphy was decorated also. Though the tradition of calligraphy existed in ancient India, the people who came from Persia, influence gave rise to a distinctive style. Calligraphy was used extensively to decorate monuments, pillars and tombs. The calligraphers used floral and geometrical designs to give more beauty to it. If you go to Taj Mahal, you will see calligraphy. Go to Qutub Minar, you will get calligraphy. You will go to all the monuments in Delhi, the historical places in Delhi, you will get calligraphy. And the Persian influences, the Indo-Persian influence was also there. There was a matching, there was a fusion. So we get to know more information. It was very beautifully done. So from calligraphy, we'll get information about history in the further chapters. I'll come back in the next video. Wait till then. I'll be back just now.